Cassidy Reynolds rushed through the bustling concourse of Metro International Airport, her heart pounding as she clutched a small carry-on bag. The morning light filtered in through towering glass walls, painting the busy terminal in a soft golden glow. Taxis screeched to a halt outside, and the hum of rolling suitcases and excited chatter mingled with the occasional roar of an airplane engine. Amid the frenzy of hurried passengers, a commotion had erupted at one of the boarding gates. A stern-faced security officer was blocking a determined black woman from boarding her flight. The woman, dressed in simple navy trousers and a pastel blouse, stood calm and resolute as the officer barked at her to step aside. His voice was loud enough to halt conversations and freeze the expressions of those nearby. To everyone watching, it appeared as if she were causing a disruption. Yet behind her composed exterior lay a secret that no one suspected. This unassuming traveler was actually the chief executive of one of the nation's prominent regional airlines, a fact that would soon upend the officer's assumptions. Officer Randall Bishop, a tall man with an athletic build and a reputation for being relentless in his duty, had spent more than a decade patrolling the terminals. He prided himself on maintaining order, often relying on quick judgments about the people he encountered. Over the years, his instinct had grown dangerously tinted with bias, a predisposition that made him view certain travelers with unwarranted suspicion. That morning, Bishop's heightened alert was fueled by a vague tip of potential contraband smuggling or suspicious activity. With his eyes darting from face to face, he scrutinized every detail, convinced that danger lurked in the most ordinary of actions. In the midst of the long line at Security Checkpoint C, the woman caught Bishop's attention as she stooped gracefully to help an elderly gentleman untie his worn shoes. Her gesture, simple yet sincere, set off an alarm in his mind. He wondered, without any real evidence, whether there was more to her than met the eye. His gut told him that her composed demeanor might be concealing something far more significant. With his hand gripping the radio at his side, he made a decision to keep a close watch on her. Unbeknownst to him, the woman was none other than Cassidy Reynolds, CEO of Clear Skies Airlines, though she had purposefully concealed her identity. For months, Cassidy had been flying undercover, posing as an everyday passenger in order to gauge the true state of her company's operations. Complaints about unprofessional behavior and substandard service had reached her ears, prompting her to embark on this covert mission. By traveling incognito, she hoped to identify the real issues behind the polished facade of airline service, from flight attendants, courtesy, to the efficacy of check-in procedures. After her quiet act of kindness at security, Cassidy moved toward Gate D-17, where Clear Skies Airlines Flight 278 was scheduled to board. As she stepped into the congested boarding area, the ambient noise of overhead announcements and murmured greetings filled the space. A tired yet courteous gate agent named Laura Hughes was busy assisting passengers, offering apologies for minor glitches in the electronic system that had briefly disrupted the boarding passes of an elderly couple. Although visibly stressed, Laura maintained a professional air that reassured the waiting travelers. Cassidy scanned the scene with practiced neutrality, mentally noting every detail: the slightly frazzled agent, the relieved smiles of passengers receiving corrected passes, and the subtle shifts of tension when Randall Bishop appeared in the periphery of the crowd. The officer's piercing gaze lingered on her, as if trying to decipher a secret she refused to reveal. His suspicion was aroused not by any overt misbehavior, but by a vague impression that those who appeared too composed were often hiding something significant. When it was time for boarding to commence, Cassidy joined the line with measured calm. Laura Hughes requested a recheck of boarding passes and identification, a routine procedure that suddenly felt targeted. With a slight frown, Bishop motioned her aside, insisting on a private conversation. Cassidy's composed response certainly belied the rising tension that rippled through the gathering crowd. She followed him, her footsteps steady, despite the undercurrent of anxiety. In a quiet corner near a row of large windows overlooking the runway, the confrontation unfolded. Bishop's tone was clipped and formal as he asked, "I need to ensure everything is in order. You traveled alone, correct? And that's your only piece of luggage?" Cassidy's reply was measured and polite, confirming the details without betraying any hint of her true identity. Bishop's eyes narrowed as he saw